Anne Catherine Emmerich was born on September 8, 1774, to a small farming family. One day, while she was kneeling and praying for hours before the cross of the Church of St. Lambert at Coesfeld, Anne had asked our Lord for a share in his passion as a sacrifice for the sake of her religious community. From that time on, she began experiencing terrible pains in her hands, feet, and side, an indication that God had given her the invisible stigmata. From the moment she received the stigmata until her death, Anne Catherine Emmerich took no solid food, existing only on the sacred host. In fact, when she would try to eat or drink, she would have a severe reaction and would vomit violently when attempting to consume food, even broth. She was, however, able to consume the Holy Eucharist, and her diet consisted only of the Eucharist. In 1819, she was once again investigated by high-ranking secular authorities. She was taken away from all of her acquaintances and moved to a house in the country belonging to one of the authorities. They referred to her as the impostor. She was locked up for 3 weeks with the authorities watching her all day and night in 6-hour shifts. Much to the aggravation of her captors, she still consumed no food and bled through her stigmata, even though she prayed not to bleed so they would release her. After 3 weeks, she was finally sent back to her home by her frustrated captors, and 2 of them became very sympathetic to her cause. During her last few years, she did not sleep at all, a miracle in itself according to the testimonies of many doctors. She was given shelter by various charitable people in the area, and was bedridden for the rest of her life. God had chosen this gifted soul to become his victim, and she voluntarily suffered and sacrificed as a means of atonement and expiation for the souls that were living in sin. Because of the great trouble caused by her visible stigmata, Anne implored our Lord to remove them, a prayer which was granted, at least partially starting in 1819. Over the next 7 years, her wounds became less visible until finally they disappeared, except for on special occasions or particular feast days of the church calendar. They would reappear and continue to bleed, however, during each season of Lent, particularly on Good Fridays. There were other occasions when Anne Catherine Emmerich's wounds would manifest and bleed severely, including some Holy Thursdays and a few Fridays outside of Lent. Yet she was never without the stigmata. For the rest of the time they were invisible, but equally as painful. Anne Catherine Emmerich was favored since her childhood with the guidance and protection of her guardian angel. God allowed her to entrust her will to this angelic creature, who in turn enlightened her to God's designs upon her soul. Anne even revealed that her angel often took her to various places during her ecstatic moments, throughout all of Europe and even to the Holy Land. Often, too, this favored soul would communicate with the poor souls in purgatory through the guidance of her angel, who led her safely through this place of purification, in order that she might visit those who implored her aid. And then, in turn, she would pray and suffer in order to help free them from their pain, and to help gain their entrance into the heavenly kingdom. And in regards to the angels, Anne Catherine Emmerich stated, "They appear to me indeed under a human form with faces and hair, but they are more delicate, more noble, more beautiful than men. They are immaterial, perfectly luminous and transparent, but in different degrees. I also see blessed souls surrounded by a material light, rather white than resplendent, and around them a many-colored glory, and aureolas, whose tints correspond to their kind of purification. I see neither angels nor saints moving their feet, excepting in the historic senses of their life upon earth, as men among men. I never see these apparitions in their real state, speaking to one another with the mouth. They turn to one another, interpenetrate one another." That is all for the episode this time on Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, and we hope all of you are enjoying this episode and have learned a lot, and please leave your suggestion or any feedback that you might have.